All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nunn. We are episode 392. I'm with my good buddy, Mr. Jim. Some of us call him Jimbo, but we'll just keep it Mr. Jim Hanson. Jim, how you doing tonight, bud? Are you connecting? His equipment is, man, it's, and we lost him. Look at that. You know, that's the difference between here and Fox News. Our guests have to do their own tech. So it looks like Jim fell off. He should be back on in a second. He was just venting right before about trying to get his stuff set up. But yeah, I don't have a big studio for him to go to like he was just here we go.
Yeah, I just wanted to be able to hear you, and it decided to kick me out of the studio. I did it. Wasn't anybody else. It was me.
It's we don't have the high speed tech that we can roll to your house. You're on your own on Stu.
And that's a dangerous place to be.
How you doing, man? It's been a while.
Pretty good. Good to be with you, brother.
Yeah, good to see you, man. And hope to see you here pretty soon. I'm gonna make my way down to your neck of the woods here in a few weeks. So.
We'll make it happen, man. We will make it happen.
Yeah,
you, me, and the wolf got to get together, do some scheming.
Yes, there's always something to do there. I'm sure we can find a place somewhere to do that. But yeah, how you doing? I see you're back in the studio / office kind of place. I love the artwork as always. The musician you are. People don't realize what an accomplished musician you are unless they get the opportunity to.
I think I'm a lot better at owning it than playing it, but it works as art for the room too.
It does.
And the art in the room is actually soundproofing. So that's big. That's all soundproofing behind me, those things.
Yeah, it's because you're in there rocking out all the time. It's I got it, but it does make a great background. But yes, well, hey, thank you for joining us tonight. We did push back a little bit. You had a little bit of a prior commitment, and glad you could make it on tonight and talk some stuff. I mean, I'm privileged enough to know some of your background and some of the things you've done in your life post military, so I consider you a resident expert, if you would, on especially the group that we hang in. Because
a dangerous crew for sure.
Who's smarter than an airborne oboe player? So, I mean, if you can jump out of a plane and play an oboe at the same time, you got to be pretty sharp. People are like, what?
You got to go way. That's way back to the OG blogger days for that one, man.
That goes way back, yeah. So, Jim, so it is. We are. As always with the show, we just wait to the day of, and there's plenty of content to talk about. But I mean, what we've seen, obviously, we're just a little bit over a year into this administration, and we've seen so much happen in the last 13 months. But honestly, just in the last few weeks, when it comes to foreign policy and all that, we've seen. I mean, I think that the country as a whole will agree from the first administration to this one, even that when the president says something, you can bet it's pretty much going to happen, and he means it. So we've seen in the last year the strike, Midnight Hammer on Iran, phenomenal strike that was kept, great operational security and a gigantic operation that set records. We just saw the Maduro hit. But now we have Iran, who seems to be talking smack like they're a chihuahua facing off with a pit bull on the other side of the window.
Smack's free. Well, smack's free. And they don't have anything else. They don't really have anything they can do that's not going to get their entire country turned into rubble and then have that rubble bounced. And that's their game. They're trash talkers. They have been causing major problems in the region and around the world with their proxies for a long time. But Iran itself is kind of a joke. Their military is subpar, and mostly what they've got is police state and a bunch of thugs who are capable of slaughtering unarmed protesters by the tens of thousands. So they don't have a military response. So you've got the Ayatollah talking about, oh, we're going to sink your battleship. No, you're not. They're not going to do anything to any of our stuff in any meaningful way. And President Trump has the option, now that he moved a lot of our dangerous toys into the area, he can blow up pretty much whatever he decides to of theirs. And I think that's quite likely to happen.
I mean, at least for what looks like our drone force has really perfected boat high speed boat hits. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
they've kind of perfected that one. So and they move a lot faster than most of the stuff in a the Iranian Navy. So I don't think they want to mess around with that. They're pretty good at that. They're 10 for 10. I think.
Turning that stuff into oil slicks in the Red Sea would not be a major or the Persian Gulf, wherever they want to play. No, they will. At some point, we will probably have some sort of head-to-head operation of our stuff against their stuff, and it's going to go very badly for them. Whoever that is, if they try to send an aircraft up, it's dead. And what they'll do is they've got a lot of missiles. They got a lot of short, medium, and some ballistic missiles, and they'll launch them, and they'll force us to spend money to shoot them down and take time to shoot them down. Is it possible they get something through and hit something? Well, I think we all saw a lot of air defense capabilities moving into the region to protect our bases. And those carrier strike groups, they're not going to slip through that. So I don't think it's possible. And I don't want to say it couldn't happen, but it's unlikely they do any meaningful damage to any of our stuff until we get a chance to do what we decide to do. Now, after that, they can take asymmetric actions. There's a lot of terror-related stuff they could do. They could do stuff with container ships or tankers going into a port somewhere. They can cause trouble, but I think at some level, they're going to be in a much degraded position when and if they try to do that.
Well, I mean, it's not like this hasn't been shown. What we've seen. Let's think about some things we've seen. They launched a massive drone strike against Israel, and we, along
Mhm.
with Israel, dropped everything out of the sky. Right? If I remember,
Right.
right, probably no.
Like
It was like
one got through.
yeah, like one got through, a couple went through, and it actually hurt like Muslims and Arabs. They didn't hit anyone else.
Right.
Um, we've already seen that happen. We saw what happened in Midnight Hammer, right, where we came in without a scratch. I don't think they even had a bug strike on any of our planes, and went through, and they were like, "What just happened?" Right, and
Yeah.
so now you have today. I don't know if you saw or not. Russia came out. Someone from Russian government came out and pretty much said everyone just needs to calm down. So I mean, Russia definitely has back channel confidence, and they pretty much and they were talking to Iran. Everyone just needs to take a knee and drink some water, and calm down
Right.
first. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, what more evidence do you need?
Yeah. No, they're not going to do that. I mean, here's the thing. Iran loves to negotiate because they're lying scumbags who can't be trusted. So negotiations are free, they cost them nothing, and they may get what they want out of it. They obviously did with Obama. They, I think by this point, have figured out that President Trump does not like to be jacked around in negotiations. You either negotiate in good faith, or the FO portion of the evening's entertainment comes
FAFO
around, and
policy. The
yeah, the FO
FAFO
policy.
policy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think they have worn his patience out. Now, and he absolutely does not want to have to bomb them. He did everything he could to try and make a deal with them. He gave them every opportunity, and they have just crapped all over the conference room table, and that's going to end up costing him. He's still doing the right thing, and he's saying we want him to make a deal, but I don't think it's going to happen. He didn't want to do it this close to the midterms. It could go badly. It could turn into something bigger. They could do something stupid, but he's the American president, and he's going to do what's right for the country, even if that damages, the Republicans' chances for a midterm. Or maybe it turns out to be, like you said, we did Midnight Hammer, did Maduro, and now we do the Ayatollah of rock and rolla. Maybe they scarf him up. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, did he set up? Did he set too hard of a red line in the sand when he talked about if they hurt the protesters, we're not allowing it to happen? I mean, that's kind of went on a little bit. Now we're hearing reports of tens of thousands killing in the hospital beds. Did he kind of put himself into a corner with that?
I think he might have wished he didn't say it exactly like that, because he's not a guy who likes to be crossed, and they crossed him. Now, it hasn't been that long, but they went way over. At that point in time, there were dozens of protesters killed. He laid down the line, they crossed it and killed tens of thousands, easily north of 50,000 at this point. We've got contacts in the country, and it's horrifying to hear. So that didn't go well, and that's weighing on his mind. And part of it is he's got to deal with every other bad actor in the world. Every other tyrant is watching this to see what happens. So part of what's going on is he's laying down a marker and saying, look, you negotiate in good faith, you don't cross me, or you're going to pay. And I think part of this payback is going to be making sure everybody else sees that you can't walk over him.
Yeah, and well, and he put another line in the sand, right? Today he said we'll hear something in the next 10 days. He kind of did that with Operation Midnight Hammer. He kind of set a timeline, but obviously he didn't wait to that. He hit it a lot faster. Do you see that as the final shot across the bow, pun intended, of like,
right?
Yeah, maybe 10 hours. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Time is fungible. It's flexible. Time is a round circle and it's curved. I don't think he's giving them an actual deadline in real time, because why would you? He doesn't have to. He's the American president at this point, and they're the ones in the wrong. So I think it could be 10 days, like you said, it could be 10 hours, but I don't see how they have done nothing in the entire history of that regime to abide by any kind of deal or any kind of agreement or any kind of anything they've ever done. So it was a long shot to expect them to sign a deal that would stop their nuke program, stop their ballistic missile program, stop their proxies from operating. The three major things that have to happen. Um, Absent that, why would you make a deal with him? And he can't afford to, after taking the Iran deal, which was the worst deal in the history of deals. You can't make one that anyone can compare to that. It has to be a legitimate deal. So he laid down a hard bargaining position, and they're not even anywhere near it.
Are they weakened or more susceptible because of the uprising within their country? I mean, it seems like it would not take much to take out some of their military and let the citizens of Iran to start to like be the other front, right?
Wouldn't that be nice? The Kurdish areas, the Kurdish province is basically no longer under the control of the central government. So there is unrest, and they're not capable now of going out and tamping all of it down. So wouldn't it be nice if the other provinces that have less love for the mullahs than others did the same thing and caused him trouble, so that they were actually spread even thinner than they are now? I mean, they laid out kind of two options. One is that we blow up some more of your toys, and then maybe we go back to the negotiating table. The other one was we bomb you until you quit. And I think I would prefer the second one. I don't think it's that long. I think your point is valid, that the people were waiting for a sign. They did their part and they paid a hellish price, but they're not done. And Iran's a big country, and the mullahs have somewhere south of the Democrats in Congress popularity. So they don't have an awful lot that they can expect, other than their thuggish secret police, to be keeping the peace.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they could, obviously, if they went in and tried to be very strategic, which we've already proven we can do a number of times, and they would have to be perfect. They couldn't make a mistake, because you wouldn't want to hit a lot of civilians and turn or tide against us. But it seems like if they could be strategic and hit those specific targets to weaken the defense of the government, then and maybe it means little birds coming into if they know where the top guy is there, and take him out, or maybe it's just weaken the gates and let the people come in, right? And the agency is well known in arming and funding internal strife of many countries over the years.
And it may be time for that. The one thing, it was always the conventional wisdom that this could not have any U.S. fingerprints on it, and it could not be regime changed by the U.S. We did that there. The agency actually did that one time before, and there is some ill will because of that. So it was always the everyone here in the swamp would say, well, the U.S. can't be involved with this. It has to be done by the Iranian people, and that's still true to an extent. But what happened when Midnight Hammer happened, when the Israelis pounded them and then Midnight Hammer took out the nukes, the magic of that whole the US can't be involved thing kind of faded away. So I don't think it would be as bad now, if, oh, gee, some arms dropped into the right hands in the right places, and some, external provinces took over their areas, and, had some quick victories against the National Guard and the guys out there who are under regime control. That would be a great way to signal that. And then maybe you do oil spots. You know what I mean?
Right.
You let those areas take a little control, and then you continue to hit the regime targets, you continue to hit their infrastructure and let it unfold. And, I mean, it's like you said, they're not far from a tipping point.
Would taking even a less of an intrusion by just taking out this island where they do all their exporting and shipping all their oil out, by taking that out and just putting a hurt on them financially, would that be an option, or would that just
Oh
take too
yeah.
long and just really hurt the Iranian people?
Both. I mean, Karg Island is because of their terrain, it's too rocky and too shallow. It's hard for super tankers to get in. So they built Karg Island. They pipe the oil out there, and that's their main way. All their money comes from that, right? And it's a very juicy target, and has been, since the hostages were taken in 1979. So it sits there. If you destroy it, then you got to rebuild it. I think it might be fun. I would love to see SEAL Team 6 or somebody take it.
Just
Just take the
capture it.
thing,
Yeah.
capture it, and then sit there. Now, then, okay, of course, you're going to take a bunch of incoming fire, but you know what I'd do? I would take it, and then I'd put up a bunch of radios, and have a bunch of comms going on, and I'd exfil all the guys, right? And pretend we're still there, and let them blow their own oil
I mean, we
terminal
did it in
up,
World War II with inflatable tanks, right? We did
right?
the
We
Ghost
could, we just,
Army,
yeah. The
you
SEAL
know.
team, and the inflatable SEAL Team 6 with the little
Elon, just
spinning
give us
balls
some
on
of
their
those.
noses and everything.
Give us some of those robots, Elon. Just have them walk around
Oh,
and
the Optimist team.
yeah, and just
Wow.
and some robot dogs and robot people, and just walk around and put weapons in their hand like they're doing DNC. And I mean, I'm just saying, just ideas,
I
just
love it.
spitballing. You know,
But there's so many, and that's the thing. The Iranians don't have a lot to work with. They don't have much in the way of air defenses anymore. They don't have much of anything, right?
right,
And everything of theirs, we and the Israelis have proven we can shove a missile through your bedroom window. While you're sleeping, we can blow your ass up in your bed, or in the morning in your shower. So they know we can hit whatever we want. So they can't cover themselves. It's up to us. And I think, like I said, their big advantage against us is asymmetric warfare, terrorism, sabotage. They could drop a couple tankers in the Straits of Hormuz, screw up shipping, right? That would probably be, if I was looking for one move for them to make, that's the one that causes us the most trouble, and doesn't really, attack us directly. You start killing Americans, you start attacking our stuff directly, we'll get much madder. You drop a couple tankers in the Straits of Hormuz, it screws things up in a massive way, but it's not a direct attack on us. So I
but
think that might
doesn't it
be what we
negatively
see.
impact their two biggest consumers, China and Russia?
They can go the other way. I mean, there's they'll work that out. Yes, it does. But, depending on where they do it, they can exfil their stuff another way. It just stops the through traffic. So
Right, right.
it's all in play. But I think their ability to control shipping lanes is one of their few strengths. And not I don't mean control, because if we decide to take them, we can take them. But it takes a while to remove wreckage. You
Right.
crash a bunch of tankers in strategic places, that gets ugly.
And they wouldn't work. They're not going to care. Well, just like they don't care about their own people's lives, they're not going to care about the environment or the ecological
Nope.
or any of that kind of stuff. And that's our the struggle we have with this, the fight we've had since 2001, right? Is that our enemy doesn't care about human life, unlike all our
Right.
enemies in the past. They cared about their people, their country, their infrastructure. We fight an enemy that owns none of that and doesn't care who dies in the the means of things. But I'm as well as I do that there's a number of courses of action that our friends at the Puzzle Palace have probably put together and are presenting, and they probably are the high, medium, low. You could do this minimal impact, this one medium, this one is we're coming in and cleaning house, and looking at all those things and everything. I'm sure it's the same thing they have for the Maduro hit. They probably had a lot of courses of action, and which one do we think would be the best one? And I totally expect now every morning I wake up to find out that something, just like it did in Maduro. I rolled over. I looked at like, wait, what? I'm like, Maduro, like, how did that happen? You know?
Dude, I wake up every morning and I check my phone. And I'm like, holy crap. It's been like that since Trump won, since
Yeah.
45. It's been, I think the op tempo of the craziness has never been like this in my lifetime. It just,
No.
the world didn't seem to move this fast. And, I'm older now, so it seems like it should be moving slower, but it just doesn't. I think you're right that what could happen is definitely still up in the air, but I don't see how President Trump does not make a point to the world, that you either take us seriously or it's going to cost you. And I don't see it. There's all the people now saying, oh, but this is, Trump promised no more wars. Well, no, he didn't. He promised no more unnecessary foreign wars, was what he said. And this isn't a war anyhow. Airstrikes are not a war. And even a sustained set of airstrikes for a week or two is not a war. And if
Right.
we want to get to the unconstitutional War Powers Act, he's still got 90 days. He can blow up everything he wants for 90 days. And then 90 days, he gets to go to Congress and say, hey, you guys want me to stop? Or you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
And then if they say no, he could still take it to Congress. It's never been to the Supreme Court. The War Powers Act has never been to the Supreme Court. So nobody knows what they'll say. It could very well be an unconstitutional infringement on his Article 2 powers. Don't know. So all of those things in play, there is no Trump is getting us into foreign wars. No, it's not a war. And even if sometime it decides to become a war, I think he can back away from it once he's created enough rubble and then do what you said, let our version of the little green men go in and stir up some trouble. Some of my old friends going in there and doing what we do.
Well, you have a populace, majority of the populace, who's very mad at their government, and you give them some money and arms, they'll organize themselves, and let them clean themselves up, and
Yep.
he wouldn't need 90 days. Like I said, he would not. I
No,
mean, he already
I think
showed that.
they'd fall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
I
would.
think they'd fall sooner than that. And I think your point about the great Mao quote is a gorilla swims among the people like a fish among among the fishes. Well, that idea in Iran, with the massive unpopularity, with the droughts, there's no water, there's no food, their money's worth nothing. There is not a country in a better position to be pushed off the edge than the Islamic Republic's control of Iran right now. And the world agrees that, everybody agrees that this would be better. So I think he's got the opportunity to have cleaned up one of the biggest messes in the world and do it well before the midterms and, take that as another victory lap.
Yeah, yeah, and he could, a side effect of this could be, he could force the Democrats to come to the defense of Iran and
They
radical
always do.
Islamists, right? Because
Right.
if he attacks them, all of a sudden they're going to be wearing they wore the Palestinian flags, they wore the Ukraine flag, they'll be wearing an Iranian flag, and I mean, because they only look at it one extreme, black or white, right? They either,
Yep.
and it's all one sided. It's if Trump
If
likes
Trump's
it,
for it, they're again it.
yeah, it doesn't matter what it is.
I mean, he made them back gangbangers and pedophiles and rapists and murderers who were being deported by ICE. They're like, no, 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 you can't take our
and
gangbanging
and
rapist
drug runners
pedophiles.
and drug
Right.
runners driving boats full of, and even Maduro himself,
Oh,
that became their
right.
talking point. But
Yeah, no,
you
it's
mentioned,
fun.
so two things you mentioned caught my. You talked about, we're moving so fast and wake up every morning, and you mentioned little green men. So if somebody woke up this morning, you find out that the guy used to be the prince in England was arrested and all that kind of stuff. If they've already went to bed, they're going to wake up. If they went to bed 10 minutes before the show started, they're going to wake up tomorrow morning and see that Trump has now directed all government agencies to release all their UFO files, everything they have on UFOs and aliens. He just did that 10 minutes before we went on air. So they're going to wake up tomorrow and realize he's told Pete, he's told all the agencies they are to release all their info, all their pictures, all their evidence on aliens, and not the illegal alien type. These are really
Right.
illegal aliens. These are way out illegal aliens. That's what they're going to wake up to tomorrow. That just came out. He is.
I think the fact that he did that is likely proof that there's nothing there. I mean, there's going to be some things, there's going to be some video, there's going to be some stuff, but there is no alien spacecraft at Area 51 that anybody can see, and we'll see. I could be wrong. I generally I am pretty good at being wrong, but I don't see how that was kept quiet, and how, with all the things that could have happened over the course of modern history, that aliens making it to Earth did not achieve some sort of notoriety, and it's all hidden in a government vault. So I'll be surprised if it is, but I think that's a nothing burger just to get people off his back since Obama opened his mouth.
Well, he got himself cast, and then they had to backtrack it. But I mean, you got to admit, I mean, you got to face, they could have easily been by in the last few years and cruised over and saw who was in charge of the biggest country on this planet, and who the number two was, and was like, we're good. We don't need to.
It's not
We're
worth
not
it,
gonna,
right? Yeah, we'll go to
we're not going to
Mars.
kick the little kid on the playground.
Maybe that's why Elon didn't. He decided I'll stick starting on the moon because he had to wait for the aliens to finish up on Mars, because that's where they went instead of staying with us. They're
They
like, we'll go
probably
to this
tuned
dusty
into
planet.
Kamala's little made video with actors talking about NASA and the moon and space, and they were like, "Wow, that's their number two in charge. We'll just keep on going." You know,
You
it's
couldn't blame them, dude. You couldn't blame them.
Yeah. So that's the newest one that just came out. Like you said, it just the news just keeps on going. You don't have to look far to find something that's going to happen, or that you
No,
need to
you got
talk.
to pedal fast just to try and keep up, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, right now you have, what, 30 million pages, or whatever it is. The last dump of stuff from Epstein's thing, which just amazes me. And this is, it's not necessarily political, but it just you have Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for trafficking children, but to nobody, because there's no one else been
Right.
charged. You have everyone that claims they knew about this stuff. You have all these pictures now coming up, which is why, not why Andrew got arrested, but somewhat related to it. But I mean, you got all this stuff happening, and everyone's just like, yeah, okay. And I'm just like, now you have all these pictures and evidence and emails and names, and it's like the world has gone so crazy that people aren't even batting an eye about that, or because of their political leanings, are just going to ignore it. And
Yeah, you're either fighting, to the death over it, or you're ignoring it like nothing ever happened. I think in the end, it was less of a pedophile ring than anybody wanted to believe. I think some of his good buddies, got bad things. They got young girls, and if there's any way to prove that, I I hope they punish somebody for it. Andrew didn't even get arrested for child molesting. He
no,
got arrested for financial and classified document stuff. So they're not even charging that known pervert for being a known scumbag pervert. So I feel with everybody else that somebody needs to go into the wood chipper feet first. And I don't care who it is, pick one, and somebody's got to go down.
yeah, I mean, it's not political. I mean, there's people on the right, left, middle. Doesn't matter that are bad people and have been involved with him in one way or another, right? But you can't just say it's just one side. Not You can't ignore the side that you agree with, and then just go after the others. That's what makes you the hypocrite. That's what this country's sick of. That's what they're sick of about politicians in general. But just be open honest. Hey, that person did something bad. Okay, they have an R or a D or an I after the name. Who cares? That doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything. You're an evil scumbag for doing something like that, right? Regardless how you vote.
And it would be nice, the victims deserve it. The girls who were trafficked deserve it, and yeah, they've all been paid, of course, and all that. But in the end, justice is not about getting recompense for the bad things that happen. It's seeing the bad people who did those things pay a price that makes other people say, "Ooh, I'm not sure that's a good idea." And that hasn't happened. Epstein's dead. Maxwell's alive. She's trying to spin herself a way to get out of prison, and that's one of my fears. I'm afraid they'll make a deal with her to get somebody and let her go. I
Right. Because she's just
I
as
don't know.
culpable. She's just
Oh,
as
she's a
culpable.
horrible waste
Yeah.
of human protoplasm. But I bet, I mean, she's the only one who could testify and dump somebody big because she knows who was sleeping with underage girls and
It's
boys.
amazing she hasn't accidentally committed her own suicide.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. You got to wonder.
Yeah.
You know, conspiracies are tough, but in the end, a lot of them are, the conspiracy theorists are ahead in the game overall. There's more wins on that side than there are on that's BS side.
Well, she didn't do herself any favors just going up there and pleading the fifth the whole time. And and that's just a concept in general that I think has been something I've thought about a lot in the last few years. The whole pleading the fifth has been totally abused,
Hmm.
and is not being used or in exercised in the way that it was intended to. Right? We've
Yeah.
seen it. We've seen it with Fauci. We've seen it with so many others. That just like I played that. That's not that's not how this works. Right? It's you can't
Well, they
plead the
all
fifth if
game the
you're
system.
doing it yourself.
No, and they all game the system. And she is, I mean, he's dead. Okay, great. Sad. I mean, I'm glad he's dead, but I wish it had been much more painful and long and other things. But she's still there. And as the enabler, as the trafficker, and the fact that she's now playing wheeler dealer is just sickening. It should sicken any decent person. I would much rather they ship her to Gitmo, and waterboard some confessions out of her rather than let her make a deal in some way. And if they let her out of prison, I won't say what I hope would happen because I don't want your show to get banned.
Well, I don't think she would last too long, to be honest. That's probably the safest place that she could be. But
Yeah, she needs
uh,
the control.
and I don't think she should move to Alabama. If you've heard about what's happened down there, the governor
I
of
may not
Alabama.
have. What was it?
It was just I think it was just this weekend. She signed into, and I could be wrong. I need Rob to fact check me. The governor of Alabama. She signed into law anyone that I think abuses or rapes or anything a child, I believe under the age of 12, is automatic death penalty. I want to say
Nice.
that's what it was. My wonderful wife was actually reading that to me this weekend or last weekend. That the governor put a law in Alabama that anyone that rapes, murders, assaults, does anything with a child. I want to say, the Child Predator Death Penalty Act. So into law to they are get death penalty automatic, and that's what it takes, right? It's carrots and sticks.
Yeah.
And like Rob said in the chat, if they don't do something, if they don't hold someone accountable, people just think they think they're a rich elite media whatever famous person, they can just keep doing it themselves. They
Well, and it's true. I mean, they have for time immemorial. That's the problem. It's not like this is new. What we've got now is 24/7 media frenzy around something, and it's democratized, so everybody gets to play. But they've always gotten away with more. It's never been, a one-tier justice system. You could always buy your way out of trouble if you had enough money. So now that we all could, and they could do it in ways before that hid the worst parts of it.
right.
So they'd get caught or they'd get busted and then they'd buy their way out of it. We'd never actually hear how bad it really was. Now everybody gets, we're all pouring through this disgusting, mound of excrement that has come out in these files. And we can see that, okay, yeah, there obviously is two tiers of justice. Is that going to stick? And everybody, I think, has a fair stake in saying, we don't want it to stick. And maybe, yeah, man, how do you transfer? God, if they did one thing in Alabama and you take somebody down there, do they have the firing squad?
I
Firing
think that
squad and pay-per-view would go a long way
it
for
would
making that.
Yes, it would. They could put GoPros on them like the firing squad. You could have straight up POV view. I think it's Utah's firing squad. I think that the
Okay.
other one.
They need to
I'm
bring
not
that back, man. I mean, everybody's having all these arguments about, oh, the medications don't work right. Who cares?
You,
We're killing them. You know what? We're
oh,
killing them.
there you go.
So
Rob came
take the
through.
easy way.
Idaho, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Utah. But you brought up one earlier. You know what else works all the time? 100% wood chippers.
Wood
Just saying.
chippers.
I
Yeah, no,
mean,
I think that might actually be cruel and unusual, but you never know. They get
well,
the
I
right
mean, it'll be
vigilante
fast.
motivated.
It would be
Yeah.
fast. I don't think you'd feel anything. I mean, I'm just
Really?
saying.
Feet first? I don't know.
No, you got to go head first. You just dive in. Just go ahead.
Is that
Just
it? All right. Well,
yeah.
there you go. All right. So diving in is not cruel and unusual, but
Nope.
feet
No.
first would be more fun because then you got,
Yeah,
wow, we went down a bad rabbit hole, my
we did.
brother.
That's
Showing our true heinous nature. And I don't feel a bit bad about it.
no,
Bad
that
people should die badly.
yeah, they do things like that for sure. It is
Yes, they
not sit
should.
on taxpayer dimes on death row for umpteen years with tons of
No,
appeal and all that kind of stuff. I mean, even though there's some third world countries out there that, have punishments and do things that are pretty that we look at and go, ugh, we're kind of past that. That's kind of horrific. There's some that maybe not be that far off. Uh,
right.
and again, it's carrots and sticks, and if that stick is big enough, it will be a demotivator for people not to do something, right?
And if nothing else, it'll restore faith in justice. Because we can bandy that word around all we want, but you can watch. There's plenty of two-tier justice. You can look in the UK, those scumbags, the UK Parliament just voted to not have an inquiry into the rape and grooming gangs that molested and raped, what, quarter million young British girls, the Pakistani Muslim gangs. And
Mm-hmm.
they said, because we're not going to have an inquiry into this because it will reflect badly on the Pakistani community. Yeah, it does. It reflects badly on them, and they should have to face that. And their
Yeah,
country should get that. But they've got two tiers of justice. They've got their own class, and it's shocking that they did arrest a royal. That is a change for them. But I think part of doing that was also to distract from the fact that it's the same week they decided to let all those tens of thousands of Pakistani scumbags who raped those girls go free with no public scrutiny and no punishment. So
yeah.
I think two tiers is bad. One tier is better. Let's get back to it.
Shame sometimes is all that needs to happen, right? That walk of shame or the wall of
Yep.
shame. You remember back, I don't know what units you were in, but sometimes some units I was in, if you got a company or field grade Article 15, you were on the board outside this battalion staff duty desk, right? Somebody go up to S1 and put in the leave form, and they go, "Man, I didn't realize Smitty got busted down to E3, or something." But I was in units where they'd had the wall of shame. If you had a company or field grade, they had a whole bio, like a resume up on you, what you did, what your punishment was, all that kind of stuff. That
I
was
like it.
and it was really bad if you were on staff duty and looked up at your own picture. And that's when you're like, I used to be an E5, now I'm an E3, and I'm on pulling all that.
This sucks. Now I'm the runner.
Yeah.
I used to be staff duty. Now I'm the runner. Oh, my favorite, dude. I got arrested in Korea, and it was an unfair. It was a bad thing. I offended a blue bonnet Air Force security.
That's not when we were there together, was it? At that different time.
Yeah, it probably must have been because this was all I said was I told this Air Force security policeman I hope he got hit by a bus, and he literally says that. What did you say? I said I hope you get hit by a bus. He was hassling my buddy, right? He was going to arrest my buddy, and I was standing up for him.
You were a different
And he
man.
said,
You were a different
yeah,
man.
yeah. And so I said I hope you get hit by a bus. He says you're under arrest. I said for what? He says I didn't say I'm going to drive a bus over you. He says provoking speeches and gestures. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, dude. So he cuffed and stuffed me, right? Took me in, sat me in the thing, and they called back to Okinawa, right? So they get the staff duty NCO at Okinawa, who's a buddy of mine. And they're like, hey, staff duty, good staff duty officer. He's like, yeah, hang on a second. Yeah, this is Major Fuzznuts, and he comes back on the phone. And he took the report and he did all that. And they're like, yeah, okay, that's fine. We've got the charges. We'll take care of it when he gets back here. Just let him go. Just forward it, via mail or something. And so they let me go.
That's all it took.
But I didn't go on the wall of shame. We couldn't have had a wall of shame in Okinawa, dude. It would have been as long as the Great Wall of China.
Yeah. And then they're like, Jim, you're not going back to Korea. Just stay in Japan for a while. You don't need to go back to Korea. Yeah,
I got kicked out of Turkey.
Into the first woke airman. I mean, that's like a pretty woke charge.
That was pretty sad. Well, the Air Force security, they hated it. Remember the old commercial? Everything's better with blue bonnet on it. So they wear those blue berets, and I used to when I was drunk, I would sing that to them. They don't think it's as funny as I did.
They didn't appreciate your singing talents then?
No, and that's what got me kicked out of Turkey. I got in a fight with Air Force security police off duty ones in the NCO club, and we won the fight, but then their friends showed up, and we lost the aftermath of the fight.
They just restrict you to just army bases. Like you don't get to
It
go to
would have
the
been smarter, yeah, because
yeah.
I liked the Air Force base. Come on, everybody wants to be. If you got to go someplace, you want to be on an Air Force base because they have dormitories and, they have cafes instead of mess halls and all
Well,
that.
when I was at Fort Rich, I mean, Elmendorf Air Force Base is right connected to it. If we had a nice long time to go to lunch, we were going to the Air Force mess hall all day.
Yep.
It was like, yeah, it was like, oh, you mean the salad bar has more than two items, lettuce and
Right.
Italian dressing? Like, you know, it was like, holy cow! It was like going to Ruby Tuesdays or something, or Chili's. I mean, it was, yeah, that was a big deal. It was. People were like, you want to go downtown Anchorage? And like, no, let's go to the Air Force mess hall. Like, that's just,
Right. It's free and
yeah,
we can annoy them.
yeah, exactly. And they did not like walking a whole bunch of maroon beret dudes come stomping in there. They were not
No, never
happy.
any fun for them.
Uh-uh. But yeah, so it's but yeah, accountability is key, whether it's you're doing something to a child, whether you're hurting somebody, whether you're you're a pedophile on Epstein Island on the plane or whatever. But I think is if somebody, not make an example of, but if they hold people accountable and they're fair, that's all people want. Because the everyday American is held to a standard.
Right.
Right. They're
Oh, we
whether
know we're
it's
going down.
right. You're
And
you're
we're not going to have a big high speed lawyer who's talking to his buddy, the prosecutor, and saying, I need you to go easy on my guy.
right.
Oh, you want to play some golf later? We don't have that. We're accountable for our actions and we're going to pay the price, the way the justice system was actually set up to do. If you did the crime, you do the time. The interesting, fun thing, though, is, I was thinking about this when they were having their insurrection up in Minneapolis, because I've written about that a lot. One of the things about the Insurrection Act and about the whole idea of the Second Amendment being our right to have guns in case we decide the government has become too oppressive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the left grabbed that this time, right? And they're saying we are doing this because the government has been too oppressive. And then you catch them start talking about it and like, well, isn't that what the Second Amendment's for? And I said, yes, it is. But you have to think about one thing. It only goes your way if you win. If you decide, oh, I'm going to exercise my Second Amendment right to have a gun and use it, then the second you decide to use it to overthrow the government, you're a criminal until you win. Then you get to write the next history and you're
Right.
the revolutionary heroes who overthrew an oppressive government. If you lose, you're the insurrectionists who went to prison for the rest of your life. But
Right.
the key to that is, and this is where our justice system, another place it's falling apart, is a jury of your peers. Because we're arresting people in these riots in DC for some of those things, for the related crimes that they're doing. And either the grand juries aren't returning indictments for obvious crimes because they agree with the bad guys, or they're not convicting them. And that's why, a jury of your peers, you get a jury of your peers because they can decide we don't want to punish you for a crime we know you did.
Well, that's why
We
that's
can
why
nullify
they're
it.
shopping judges, right? That's why they're shopping
Yeah.
judges in heavy blue, heavy liberal areas like New York City and stuff, like the stuff that was brought against the president and other people. That they shop where they know they're going to get the good chance of getting a jury or grand jury that's going to be totally on their side and go, oh, you should find this person guilty just because they're aligned with whoever, Trump, whatever, doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right? It took the Supreme Court to go, you can't do that. You can't
Well, they
shop.
said it, they haven't enforced it.
No, they
That's the
haven't.
problem because we've got, since Trump came to office this time, we've had a judicial insurrection without
Yeah.
a doubt. All of these, they have abused their power for political purposes, and maybe in their minds, a lot of them are unhinged and delusional, as all leftists are, and they believe they're actually going in accordance with the laws and the Constitution. I think a lot of them know they're not, and like you said, they're just doing it for political purposes. The Supreme Court made one ruling that said, each individual judge is not supposed to do this and enjoin the entire country by their actions. But they haven't enforced it, and neither has Congress. No impeachments of judges, no punishments, no censures, nothing. And Trump and the administration have been following these rulings, and playing by the rules, but it's slowing down the process. The process is the punishment. The process, gluing up the process, helps them help their bad guy friends. So we need to break that log jam and get back to a justice system that actually operates the way it's supposed to, not as a political tool, because it's not, the judiciary is not supposed to be a political entity.
Yeah, I mean, the only one I know that's been charged is that one in, I think, Minneapolis that helped the illegal alien escape, right?
Wisconsin, Milwaukee. It was in Milwaukee. Yeah, that crazy, ugly troll woman.
Yeah,
And good, and that was an actual crime.
right.
And good. Okay, they and it was caught on film, and everything. So they couldn't get away from that one. But no one has said, and this needs to come from the Supreme Court. They need to say that an individual judge of an inferior court who was not elected and is only in charge of their one little area can make a ruling for that area, but they can't make a national ruling that stops a policy by the president of the United States, who is elected by the whole country. That needs to happen from a higher court, at least, a superior court, or potentially it should have to go up to the Supreme Court. But whatever it is, these individual judges shutting down legitimate, lawful, constitutional Trump policies is garbage, and somebody needs to start making them pay.
I mean, the line between the two branches of executive and congressional, blurred heavily during the Obama years because they pretty much went along with everything. It was all whatever Obama wanted.
Right.
Now they've definitely in the Trump years, both terms, they blurred the one between the judiciary, because again, these judges are trying to overrule what the executive branch says and and put out, and it doesn't. That line's drawn for a reason. They're to interpret, but they cannot just wait for someone to come up and say whatever district in Texas says this applies, the president can't do it, or he has to release these people, or what's the one, the Boasberg, whatever his name says, the government's got to fly all these people back from Venezuela and all these Trinidad. It's like what? Like
if they want to do that, if they want to have executive power, run for office and become president or get appointed Secretary of State, but the Constitution is pretty clear about that. Like you said, they do not have those powers. They are abusing them. And until somebody stops, until they make one of these people pay, and they need to impeach one of them, Boasberg. Why is Boasberg not impeached? That guy has violated so many things. He is the classic villain. He looks like a Harry Potter villain. He needs to be put in the dock. But the problem is Congress, Republican or not, is gutless. Even if the House impeached him, there's no way the Senate, in their staid, greatest deliberative body in the world garbage claim, is going to convict. So we've got no recourse, and I think at some level that's going to push Trump into disobeying a inferior court order. Pick a really good one. There's plenty. It's not like he doesn't have a lot of good choices for one to disobey, and say, I refuse to follow this. Supreme Court, do your job. And put Roberts on the block, because he doesn't want to have to be the guy. He doesn't like Trump. He hates Trump. So he doesn't want to have to intervene in a constitutional crisis on Trump's side. But Trump's going to have to force him to do it.
I mean, they all did unanimous when Colorado tried to keep him off the ballot, right? That was,
there you go.
They've showed they can't do it, but with you have Jackson and some others in Sotomayor, they're not going to if they have a chance to go against them. But that was surprising. They went 9-0 on that one.
Yeah, 9-0 rulings on anything big are rare, and I think at this point, the Supreme Court is political. I think our side has judges who do enforce the Constitution as it was written. The other sides don't. They don't even care what the law is. They will cherry pick the best of the bad arguments for their side and put them in the opinions, but they know that they're embarrassingly wrong. They're just not going to vote for things they disagree with. And if they disagree with the policy, they will shirk their constitutional duty and go ahead and vote against it.
But that's the danger of that line disappearing, because most of them are lifetime appointments, right? The reason why the Declaration of Independence was written, the reason why there's term on the president and all that kind of stuff, is so that there doesn't become a king. Well, if you essentially give a judge and let them cross over and act and behave and decide like a king would, and they're a lifetime, you've essentially reinstituted that. So
And that's why I think Trump's going to have to, he's going to have to cause that. They caused the constitutional crisis. He's going to have to react in a way that doesn't allow them to own the process, and just say, this is my authority. I refuse to have my authority usurped by some twerp in, Oregon who thinks he knows better than me how to do the job the American people elected me to do. Now we have three branches of government. Congress can act or the Supreme Court can act. And ideally, Congress would pass a rule that says inferior courts cannot do nationwide injunctions. They should do that, pass that, Trump sign it, and the Supreme Court would leave it alone. Roberts would welcome that because he doesn't want to be the guy who does it. Absent that, because the Republicans in Congress don't have a spine between them, he may have to push it, and then maybe that forces Congress to act, and then maybe you get Roberts saying, we agree with this, but I can't make a ruling that says it. We need Congress to act, and then he pushes it back to the third branch. Then you get all three branches. You get the Supreme Court, the president, and Congress to say this is garbage. We're not going to allow it anymore.
Do you think do you think the president would try to do that before the midterms, or wait to see if the Republicans keep after the midterms and then do it?
Yeah, after. And the thing is, okay, you do it after, Supreme Court's still going to have the same,
Right.
people on it. If we lose the House or the Senate, then there's no way they will do legislation to fix it because the Democrats like it.
Right.
Hell, that's exactly what they want. But if we do hold the House and Senate, or if we don't, either way, I think somehow Trump's going to be in the position of being deluged by these garbage rulings that take up all, the Justice Department spends so much time appealing these garbage rulings and doing all the work to do that, that they can't do the work of the country. And the Democrats know that. So that needs to stop for both those reasons. It's constitutionally unsound and it thwarts the will of the people who elected the president by stopping his policies from being enforced. And the same thing was within Minneapolis. That was an insurrection to stop policies of the duly elected president. Those things need to be punished. And I think after the midterms, whichever way it goes, President Trump will be a little more forward leaning in bringing the pain.
Well, yeah, because then he'll get as much done before the midterms. He won't want to hurt the party that bad for the midterms. But if the Republicans stay in power of both houses, hopefully by a wider gap after, then it's going to be as game on as his first year was, I think. I mean, he knew he had 2 years, and he caught him on. He put him on their heels January 21st.
It was amazing. They did everything right in the early stages of this Trump administration because they learned their lessons last time. And the out years were spent getting all of those policies together. So Project 2025, whether it was Heritage doing it, it was actually a joint effort between probably 150 conservative organizations. I wrote some stuff for it. Some of the foreign policy stuff we wrote and contributed to. It was designed so that on day one, they would have so many executive orders ready to go and policies ready to implement that the Democrats would be playing defense everywhere and they wouldn't be able to stop all of it. And it was brilliant. It worked great. It went into power, but then the Democrats got their mojo back and they started using their judges to shut it down. And they started using their governors and other people to put sand in the gears of the machine. And like you said, whichever way it goes, come January 2027, I think we will see a little bit more forceful executive authority. The Democrats are already playing no kings. He hasn't kinged at all, and he's never going to king. He's simply going to return to the actual powers an American president has, and that's good enough.
Yeah, and it's and he will. If they want to tie things up in courts, he'll tie things up in courts. But he's got a good team around him, and he'll let it run itself out. And the next person whoever runs, whether it's Vance or Rubio or whatever, I mean, they could just like, hey, he's the president. I mean, I don't think it's going to leave any dirt on them, whether things are in the courts or being argued or whatever. Or whatever the left side wants to put as their talking points. They'll be like, yeah, well, hey, that's him. I'm me, and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just interesting to see, like we said at the start, he hasn't ever said anything he hasn't fulfilled. I mean, every campaign promise of both campaigns, he has met and promised. And when he says something
Crazy.
like he said today about 10, we'll know something the next 10 days. You can't have a stronger warning that it's happening. Right.
And I love the
if they come to the table.
Yeah, I love the idea that we talk to the administration a lot. We meet with all the executive agencies, and we have friends, in positions where they are wielding the levers of power. Everybody's been told you're supposed to do things. You're not just allowed to do things, you're supposed to do things. And that is such a breath of fresh air in a place, that operates on gridlock. You just maintain the status quo, allow the uniparty to live. Well, no, there's a break the broken parts of the machine off and let's build new ones. And that to me has been the most entertaining thing about Trump too.
Yeah, Trump 2. I like that. Trump Part 2. I haven't heard of it, or call it Trump Part 2.
There you go.
But, no, well, hey, man, this was great. Anything before I let you go? Because I know we're already almost at an hour. It's crazy how fast this goes. But you got a lot going on, World Strat Group. We put the link up there a little bit. What do you guys got going on? What's happening in your world that you want our listeners and viewers know about? Anything?
I think one of the things we're doing, we're working with Middle East Forum, which is an outstanding organization, and they have a ton of information and have since the start of the administration on our tax dollars going to Islamist groups. All right, not pure Muslim groups, but Islamists, the supremacists, the bad guys. And we had a bunch of data that we gave to the administration on day 2 that they took in about USAID giving grants to groups that shouldn't. That helped shut down those groups, and then we took it to DHS. They did the same thing. Now we've took it to HHS. They're going to do the same thing. There will be a bunch of news coming out about bad guys not getting money and getting cut off from government funding. Will hear about it.
So you're like Doge Part 2.
We worked with all the Doge weasels, all the wunderkind.
Yeah.
Those guys were wild, and just keeping up with them. The problem with them was once you got them engaged, they're going to blow your phone up because they're working at the speed of light. And once we got one of them on something we wanted them on, I couldn't do anything else until we finished everything they wanted because my phone was like, but action was taken. Bad things got destroyed and good things came out of it. So it's good to watch.
Sharks on the blood in the water, and they were off.
Exactly, man.
You couldn't grab them then. They were off and running. Yeah, that's well. Are we going to see you in any videos coming up with RFK Jr. doing push-ups and that kind of stuff?
Dude, I saw a video. They played it when I was on Jesse Waters before this, as you talked about my warm-up. I warmed up on Jesse Waters so I could come on your show.
That's right.
But they showed Hegseth benching 300.
I saw that.
That's not bad. That's not bad, man.
He was benching more than his son, who was spotting him, weighs by a lot.
Right. I was like, and his kid's by. What's he gonna do? What's he actually gonna do?
I was watching that, and I'm like, if he drops,
I want a bigger spot. I love huge spotters. You're not gonna see me lifting 300 pounds. That's what you will not see. I promise you that.
Yeah. Okay. The maybe just some flutter kicks off the back of the Sprinter van or something there.
Drinking coffee and smoking cigars, you're more likely to see me doing.
There you go. That's it. RFK Jr. probably wouldn't approve of that, but that's all right.
I don't care. He's not the boss of me. Sam lets me do it.
That's all that matters. Well, hey, Jimbo, love having you on, buddy. It's been too long. Hope to see you here in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. People, make sure you check out worldstrat.com. See the great things. Keep an eye on Jesse. Anywhere else you may see. Not on RT anymore, but it's a long time
I put up my highlight reel from that, though. That was.
Did you?
Yeah, I don't run away from. What do I care? I was there to hate on Russia and hate on Obama. That was my job. I was good.
I always like just to watch your eyes. I just looked at your eyes and where they went. That's all I paid attention.
Right. Hey, they paid for the hot chicks on that show. That's for sure.
There you go. I was gonna make a joke, but I'll let it go. So, all right. Jimbo, good to see you, buddy. Take it easy, and I'll see you here in a couple weeks, man.
Sounds good. Always a pleasure, Troy.